Devodia Mohanyane, and I will be your host this afternoon. So, where we are, it is Bloemfontein. We're at the University of the Free State Bloemfontein campus, and it's quite a beautiful day outside. I wish I could show you right outside my window, and I hope where you are, it is as beautiful as it is with us. We're a bit high energy. When we talk about money, the energy moves a couple of degrees up. So don't mind us. Make sure that you catch the flame that we're talking about this afternoon, and make sure that you also have your questions ready. We've got quite a pretty good lineup this afternoon, talking to us about how student funding works, what opportunities exist, and how you can take advantage of that. So before we get ready, I'm very excited to introduce also our hosts, or I'm excited rather to introduce our panel this afternoon. Please make sure that you stay tuned. Just before we continue, few house rules for us to make sure that the webinar is effective. You will notice that your microphone as well as your camera have been disabled. Now, that's not because we don't want to see you or we don't want to hear you. We want to make sure that we have a smooth conversation and we drown out all the noise that might interrupt our conversation this afternoon. With that being said, we will also have polls that will appear on your screen. And remember that that is to make sure that you keep track, you participate, you engage with us. What we also want to encourage you is, if you want to be eligible for our prizes, winning one of our prizes this afternoon in the webinar, make sure that you have signed in. If you're a University of the Free State student, sign in using your name as well as your surname as part of your username or your profile name. So remember, our polls will pop up on the screen, and when they pop up, you just need to click the answer that's most applicable. So don't be surprised when something pops up on your screen. You've got it, right? Very important announcements before we get into today's topic. If you are a University of the Free State student and you go on your academic data summary, otherwise known as the ADS, you would most likely see an indicator, service indicator that says NBT algorithm not proficient. What this means is that as a senior student, you might have this indicator, and if it says you're not proficient, you have to register for the academic literacy module. And if you didn't do this in your first year, please make sure as a senior student, you do register. The old module codes, as you would know it, is the EAL, so it will be EALN for natural sciences, EALH for humanities. So remember, the module code has changed, and it will be CAL N for natural sciences, H for nursing and humanities, CALE for EMS students, and so on. So please remember to register these modules. But if you've already taken the module and you have passed, please ignore the service indicator. So this is not for you if you have passed the module. But if you know that I didn't do this module in my first year or my second year, and I'm currently in my third year, please make sure that you register the module. Also, if you've registered for the module previously and you have failed it, it's also important that you register again in 2025. Remember, if you don't do so, you will not secure the grad at the end of the year. So we also have another exciting announcement. Some of you might have seen the stamp all over campus. If you add Motlake building, you might have seen this as well. Well, this is the Career Positioning Support Contact Center, otherwise known as GPS at UFS. Yes, very similar than your GPS. I don't know what the name of your GPS is. Mine is Ntombientle. I like a girl talking to me when I drive. So my GPS tells me where I'm headed, how to avoid the risky turns, how to avoid the risky, but also tells me what are good roads I need to take in order to get to my destination on time. GPS at UFS, it's exactly that. We want to make sure that you as a student get to graduation, destination graduation right on time. So if they call you, it's not a scam, but the success coaches, you'll see the success coaches now. These are appointed as well as trained people that are there to coach you on how to become successful as a student and how to reach graduation on time and how to eliminate dropout and also help you make sure that you get a job by the time you finish university. So those are the success coaches. Make sure you get in contact with them. You can call them, you can email them. We know this generation doesn't really call, but remember, you can also reach them on the Coffee chat on WhatsApp, 087-240-6370. I'll repeat that number for you. It's 087-240-6370. Make sure that you get in contact with a success coach anytime, even now, as we speak during the webinar. They are there waiting for you. If you have any questions related to registration, advising, your modules, finances, they will direct you to the correct people. Great. So now that we have those ad announcements out, those are the ad breaks that we had, paying our bills. We want to welcome our speakers. I'm very excited. Some of them, it's not the first time that they're joining us. They've actually become regulars here in Secure the Grad. We've got Kgomotso from finance. We also have postgraduate funding. We've got David MacHeu, as well as Refilo Motshabi from Standard Bank, and Jabulile Maseko, who will be our student voice. You know nothing about the students without the students. So I'm very excited to kick off our webinar this afternoon. Let me know in the chat, where are you joining us from and how are you feeling this afternoon? If you are watching the recording, please also comment, leave a like, leave a comment, and do make sure you subscribe to our channel. So I'm super excited to kick off our webinar today. So let us get the conversation started. I can't see my guests. Where are my panelists? Let us start with Kgomotso. Kgomotso, where are you? I can't see you. David, I can't see your camera. There we go. Welcome, Kgomotso. Good to see you. A quick introduction to our audience today. And in our introduction, please tell us, Kgomotso, a little bit about what your role entails, as well as what has been the most rewarding part of this role.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kgomotso Mokhako. I work in the financial aid office. So I work mainly with the merit bursary, and we also work with NSFAS as well. So yeah, my role is to award bursaries to students, basically. So the most rewarding thing for me would be if we're struggling with a student, a particular student, to get them funding, and then we overcome those hurdles, and then finally the student gets funded.
Awesome. Kgomotso, I'm going to rename you today. And I'm going to rename you to Kgomotso Shasha. So if you see Kgomotso on the UFS campus, or you see her anywhere, just greet her like this, Shasha. So she's our Titomboweli. So make sure that, and these are the people that really have the heart to make sure that finances are not a stumbling block. Before Kgomotso, welcome again. I look forward to our conversation. Now let's move to David. David, let's mix it up a little bit and break the order of the females. Welcome. Please tell our audience a little bit about yourself, what your role entails, and what do you find as the most rewarding part of your job?
Thank you, Euphoria. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David MacHeu, and I am from the funding office at the Center for Graduate Support. So what I basically do is I assist with the administration of postgraduate bursaries for our postgraduate community. I think the most rewarding thing, it would be knowing that we're making a difference out there through the funding. So we do our best to assist our students as best as we can. Thank you.
I'm not letting you go just yet. So tell us a little bit, what does a typical day or a week look like at work, particularly during this time of the year?
Okay, mostly I will be handling student inquiries, both walk-ins as well as emails. So we at the moment trying our best to assist students in terms of their funding applications, knowing their status, and it's registrations. So everything.
Busy.
Go busy.
So busy. All right. Also looking forward to our conversation. You've become a regular, so I can even see how you've relaxed that you've got this. Looking forward to chatting to you later. Let's move to Kehilwe. Kehilwe, welcome. And I know it's quite busy on your end of the corner.
Hi, Evodia. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be invited to this every year. My name is Kehilwe Motshabi. I'm a branch manager here at UFS branch of Standard Bank. What I'm doing day in, day out is I'm basically dealing with a student every day. I'm making sure that I'm assisting the student when it comes to when they're struggling with some finances, and also guiding them when it comes to different types of funding when it comes to Standard Bank, because we don't only deal with student loan, we deal with different funding, bursaries, we have Phoenix, I saw. So yeah, so I'm basically dealing with the youth segment in the site, because I remember last week we were supposed to meet with a dry run. I couldn't, I was at CUT. So I'm not only focusing at UFS, I'm also looking at other institutions here in the Free State. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So we said Kgomotso is Shasha. I think, but Standard Bank has e-wallet. But what Standard Bank buang for a wallet, yeah, Standard Bank because that will be Kehilwe's name as of now on. So welcome. And before we jump into our conversation, we have our student voice. I'm just going to ask her to quickly introduce herself before we jump into a section. Jabulile, welcome with us. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Miss Ivodia. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Well, as you've already introduced me, I'm Jabulile Maseko. I'm currently doing my second and hopefully my final year of master's in zoology. So I'll be here to be the student voice, basically, to tell you guys about my experience with having a university bursary. Yes. And tell you more about myself. I'm just a student trying to hustle there and there, working as a tutor and also as a lab assistant and research assistant as well. Yes, that's all about me.
Awesome, Jabulile. We are looking forward to having you on our platform, and it's an absolute privilege to be able to hear from one of our students. So let's jump in. Kgomotso, we're going to circle back to you and get already into our conversation. So just to quickly speak to us, what is the role of the financial aid and tuition office at the UFS? I know, Stu, we tend to mix the two. Students will tell you, but ma'am, I want to go to tuition fees or I want to go to financial aid. Talk to us about what the role is of these two offices.
Okay. Our role as financial aid, I know like most people always get us confused with tuition fee. Our role as financial aid is to assist students through the application for funding and the administration of bursaries, scholarships, and loans. So tuition fee is different. You know, when a student enrolls at the university, they are the ones that, you know, do the module codes, the costs and everything. They are the ones that send you statement to say, hey, student, you owe us money. You need to pay and everything. Yeah, so basically that's what we do. We administer bursaries. So we have internal and external bursaries as well.
Okay, you've spoken a bit, you've touched a bit on, you also work on bursaries. So what type of bursaries are offered by the UFS in the financial aid office? And how can students find out about these opportunities?
Okay, we have, the university has the Merit Award bursary. So basically that one we are saying we are awarding student for excellent academic performance. So we've got different types of merit bursaries. We have those ones for, you know, students that are coming straight from matric. who are performing with an AP score from 35 upwards. So we offer you bursaries to say, well done, student. So that one, the merit bursary, it ranges from 6,000 up until 20,000 rands.
Wow.
Yes. And then we've got merit bursaries for seniors. So for seniors, they have to have an average of 80% upwards in order to qualify for that merit bursary. So there we will calculate it based on the module costs for the students. And then we've got postgraduate bursaries. So like for honors, say for an example, you need to obtain an average of 75% upwards. So that one is also calculated according to your module costs. And then for masters, we only giving 10,000. So for the first, we're gonna give that we're dividing it in two parts. We give you 5,000 in your first year of your PhD, and then we give you another 5,000 in the second year.
Okay.
Yes.
You heard, I told you, Kgomotso is Shasha Titomboweni. So you heard all these comparisons. So let's talk about, so once as a student, I've been awarded a merit bursary, especially now beginning of the year. Can I use this merit bursary now for registration, and how does it work?
Yes, you can use that merit bursary for registration. So we start very early on in the year with running that merit bursary program as to allow, our health and science students as well to be able to register. So it automatically runs, at the beginning of the year and opens you up for registration. The one thing that it does not cover is like prior year fees, outstanding fees. We're covering this year's fees, and you can register with that money.
So can a student, must a student apply for this, or is it something that's it's a process that's automatically administered by the financial aid office? How does it work? Do you just email the student? Talk to us about the process.
The merit bursary is an automatic program that we run. It picks up students with the criteria that we have set. So you don't have to apply for it. The only exception to it is for students who are now transferring from other universities. They are the ones that need to apply because now we don't have their information from that prior institution. So what they will do, they will send me their academic records, and they will send me the statement of accounts. And then we do those calculations for them, and then we do that allocation for them if they do qualify. The rest of the students don't have to apply. After we run the program, it automatically shows on the ADS.
So I hope you heard that. You don't have to do anything. If you are a student, a current UFS student, the program will automatically pick you up. Kgomotso, I want to ask, outside of registration fees, what else can the student use the merit bursary for?
That bursary can also use to cover tuition fees, and then you can also use it for books. And then if you have a credit at the end of, let's say, a semester or at the end of the year, you can claim it back as a refund, as long as your tuition fee is paid. Yes.
Okay, so I think that is very, very interesting. So as you heard, I saw a comment, someone asking, can I pay for gym, for my coffee fit gym? So Kgomotso, if as a student, if I didn't claim the merit bursary in 2025, can I transfer it into 2026, or do I forfeit my bursary?
Okay, the first one would be now if you are not a registered student. Let's say now in 2024, you qualified for the merit bursary, and then you don't come back to study for 2025. So that merit bursary is going to be valid for 5 years.
Okay.
It's going to give you 5 years to say, you can still register within that 5-year period. But after the 5 year has elapsed, you cannot use it. It's going to just fall off the system.
I think that is very important to note. And can we use it for anything else outside of registering? Oh, but you did cover that question. Okay, so Kgomotso, outside of the merit bursary, what other opportunities do students have, what other opportunities exist to support students financially?
Okay, in our offices, we've got a lot of bursaries that we are administering, ne? So, okay, we've got like the leadership and culture bursary. That one, it looks at, if you had a leadership position, let's say you are a first year, you had a leadership position from your previous school, that one you can apply for as well. And then we're also administering, there's a sports and culture bursary as well. And then we've got those, we call it like smaller nyana bursaries. See, it's called sundry bursaries. So sundry bursaries, see, for example, Ivo, let's say now you have a lot of money, you're saying, okay, I'm going to give you like maybe 500,000. And then normally the funders set their own criteria.
Yeah.
To say, okay, I'm going to fund the student who's studying maybe towards this. I'm going to fund the student maybe who are coming from, let's say, Kimberley or a certain area. Yeah, there the criteria are different because of the funder. And then we've got NSFAS related bursaries. See, we've got a bursary called from the Department of Labor. So that one, for the labor one, it's not really it's not really specific on which students are they funding.
Okay.
Yes, so there's a timeline, like the information about that bursary is on our website, and then we have an email address. One of our colleagues, Namhla, is the one that is handling that bursary. So the student can check on our website, they can send an email to say what is happening with this bursary. So, but normally we list the date of the closing date of that bursary. And then we've got the Department of Agriculture bursary. So that one is for students who are doing agriculture. So it's a full cost bursary if you are studying, if you're doing agriculture. So it can also fund postgrad students and undergrad students. So for that one, you don't apply at the university. You have to apply directly with the funder.
Okay.
Yes, so there's information on our website. There's a web page that you apply there. And then what they do is that they send us a list of students that are approved for the bursary. We just administer the bursary to pay fees and allowances for that bursary. And then there is also a National Skills Fund bursary. So this one is from the Department of Higher Education. So that one, it funds students who are doing BSc and BCom.
Okay.
Yes. And then we also have the SETA bursaries. Ne? So SETA bursaries normally, like the students don't apply for it. The funder will tell us now, okay, we're looking for students who are doing, for example, engineering with an average of this much. So we use the data to find those students. And then we draw a list from the system and then we give them that list.
Great. So as you can hear, there are quite a number of opportunities that the University of the Free State is securing in order to fund its students, because we know that finances are a critical component to students securing their degrees. Now, I've been seeing quite a number of questions coming in the chat. Do not worry. What we do is, as we move on to the next speaker, we provide our current speaker an opportunity to engage in the chats with you. Alternatively, we have a question Q&A segment coming up towards the last part of our webinar, where we will raise these questions to the rest of our panelists. So please don't fret if we've not touched on your question as yet. We will have a segment that does that. Kgomotso, before we let you go, I want to ask about the monitoring bursary. Students have been talking, monitoring bursary, what is it? Where can we find out information about it? So please talk to us a little bit about this bursary scheme and what the criteria is and just around the timelines.
Okay. The monitoring bursary, That one, it's for students that are doing their final year. So let's say now you have outstanding fees from the previous year. We are just saying that we want you to complete your degree. So we're going to pay that outstanding fees and also registration. So there it's for final years and also for leadership, students that are in leadership positions. The requirement for that is that you have to pass at least 60% of your modules in order to qualify for that bursary. So it's normally open towards the end of the year up until the following year. So for this one, unfortunately, it just closed on Friday, on the 31st of January. So students must just be on the lookout, like check our website for that.
Awesome. So Kgomotso, you, I know in your office, you and the team do everything in your power to make sure that you match students with available funding opportunities. But we also know that there are some mistakes that happen, or things just don't always go the way they need to go. What would you say are the most common mistakes that students make when they apply for funding, or when you're trying to match them with a funding opportunity?
Okay, Evodia, you know, the most frustrating thing is to have a student that is performing, that meets criteria, and then we cannot get hold of the student. Students often don't check their UFS emails. And then sometimes they also do not update their contact details on the system. When they lose a phone, they just get another SIM card. They're forgetting that, you know, we have a different number. So we would try to get hold of students, but we have like a time limit, unfortunately. So we have to remove you from the list and put in another student to assist. So just make sure that you are, you know, your email address, you check it, if not on a daily, on a weekly basis at least, because there is very important information that we send to you.
I cannot stress this important request more, because you know there's a Sesotho hymn that says "Simpiti wena ya motle," and I think this is the hymn that you would sing every time you apply. I really want to stress, as Kgomotso says, the opportunity is knocking at your door. You are not knocking at the opportunity's door. So please, please, I want to plead to our students, make sure you read those emails. Make sure that, especially if you see something about funding, also secure the grad, ne? Let's secure the grad. So if you see secure the grad, or you see any communication from the University of the Free State, remember it will always send to your @UFS mailbox. Make sure you read the communication and you respond on time. Also, want to encourage, don't wait for last minute. You know, as Kgomotso said, if you're not going to respond, we're simply going to pass on to the next student. So, Kgomotso, we're going to pause just there a little bit with our conversation, and we'll circle back to you, because I see we have very eager audience members that like to know a bit about financial aid. Our first poll has just come up. Before we transition to the Center for Graduate Support, we want to know, have you already registered? It's a simple one this time. A for yes, B for no. Click on the option that's best applicable, click on the submit button, and there you have it. We only have 18 of you that have submitted, so please engage with us and let's see whether you've registered or not. There is a reason why we're asking this, and you'll hear the reason at the end of the webinar. So we're going to quickly transition to the postgraduate funding. David, we're going to talk to you a little bit about information I saw already. The chats were coming in about honest funding and so on. So I quickly wanted to say hold your horses, but I thought let me keep the suspense going. Can you talk to us a bit about the services that the Center for Graduate Support offers? So what else outside of the funding do you offer the UFS student?
Just share my screen quickly. Okay. So as the funding office at the Center for Graduate Support, our mandate is to actually efficiently manage the funding opportunities for the postgraduate community. So yes, we mainly administrate your postgraduate funding opportunities, such as your NRF, your MERSITA, as well as the UFS bursaries.
Okay, so what funding options are there for postgraduate students and when can they apply?
All right, as I've mentioned, we administrate the National Research Foundation, the NRF in short, the UFS tuition fee bursaries, as well as MERSITA. So I'll just quickly touch on each, starting with the NRF. The NRF funds all full-time honors, master's and doctoral programs with research. So applications are currently closed. They will open around April for master's and PhD scholarships and close around June. And then for the honors scholarships, we expect that the applications will open around July and close towards the end of the year, around November. Okay, so I don't know, Evodia, can I also just touch on the eligibility criteria?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, so I'll be quick. In terms of the NRF honors scholarship, with the NRF, you can either qualify for a full cost of study or a partial cost of study. For you to qualify for the full cost of study, you need to be an exceptional achiever with a minimum average of 75% and above, or you can be a financially needy student with disabilities with an average of 65% and above. And then if you don't qualify for the full cost of study, you can then qualify for the partial cost of study with a minimum of 65%. Okay, and then just to note, with the honors scholarship, you need to be 28 years of age, and you must also be a South African citizen. Okay, in terms of the masters, the same rule applies. You can either qualify for a full cost or the partial cost of study. And the age requirement for the master's scholarships, you must be 30 years of age or younger in the year of application. Okay, then in terms of the doctoral scholarships, same rule applies. And then for the doctoral scholarships, you must be at least 32 years of age or younger in the year of the application.
Okay, so that is clear, just at least in terms of what the requirements are. And yeah, so those of you that are currently sitting in your 50s, this is good motivation to start studying hard, coming to the library, going to the A-Step tutorials, meeting with your supervisor, making sure that come April, you are sitting in a good position to be able to apply for these bursaries. I want to understand, your office has worked through, I think, hundreds of applications annually. And I'm sure you see good applications as well as not so good applications. Can you tell us a bit about what are some of the most common mistakes that students make when they apply, and how can they avoid these mistakes?
Okay, the first one would be supporting documents. So it is very important for applicants to know exactly what documents are required. And then also we struggle with students who would actually want to apply for funding opportunities after the closing date. We do our best to share the information via the UFS website, as well as the UFS emails. So they must please just always make sure that they have the right information when they do their bursary applications.
Okay, so talk to us. I know we didn't prep for this, but because you've worked so much with these applications, what does a application look like that stands out? The ones that you'd really say these have been successful applications. What did they typically look like? And, is there a time factor involved as well in it?
Okay, for me, it would be a fully completed application. So you need to make sure that you complete all the sections in full. And then back to the supporting documents, you need to ensure that if it says a certified ID copy, please make sure that you attach a certified ID copy, because a lot of applications get rejected due to insufficient documents being submitted.
So, David, are there specific funding opportunities that sometimes go unutilized by the students? So, have you awarded bursaries or grants to students that they don't make use of?
To be quite honest, Evodia, not really, because the main thing is funding is very scarce in the postgraduate landscape. So students are looking for that funding, and they do utilize the funding that they get. So we don't have any funding that goes unutilized.
And opportunities that students don't apply for, has that been the case? Are there particular bursaries that that you struggle to get applicants for those, or are you always fully inundated?
Okay, I think we do receive applications, but I also do advise students to also just check for other external funding opportunities on Bursary South Africa, because we have limited funding and we do receive applications for the funding that we do administrate.
Okay, so from our team, can I just ask that we make sure that we just put that URL on the chat so that our audience can have it? Thank you very much. David, what steps can students take to improve their chances of receiving financial support? And how can we get a hold of your office if students need additional information?
Okay, I would really advise students to actually attend the information sessions that we do hold during the course of the year, when we have the applications open. That assists a lot. If they have any inquiries or they are unclear of anything in relations to the applications, we are able to assist them there and there and ensure that they do have good applications. And then if they do have any queries, they are more than welcome to visit us. We are at the Johannesburg building. In Office 10, myself, dealing with the honors funding. And then my colleague, Ms. Lindy Weboy, who deals with the master's and PhD funding. And then Dr. Vessels, you can get hold of Dr. Vessels in terms of the UFS bursaries.
Let's circle back a little bit to the allocations. Now, if I'm a student, I'd like to know, if I get a bursary, how much money are we talking about and what do these bursaries cover?
Okay, it differs from bursary to bursary because each funder, I think, as Ms. Mokhako had indicated, each bursary has its own criteria and conditions, so the amounts will differ. And also, for example, with the NRF, as indicated, you can either qualify for a full cost or a partial cost of study. So with the full cost of study, you would receive more funds as compared to the partial cost of study.
Okay, so just in terms of the partial and full, who qualifies for the full and who qualifies for the partial? How do we make that distinction?
All right, in terms of the NRF, those who qualify for the full cost of study will be your exceptional achievers with an average of 75% and above, or students with who previously had NSFAS and have disabilities with an average of at least 65%. And then for the partial cost of study, you can qualify with just 65%.
Awesome. So look like it's not just for the distinction 80%ers like Besarisa Kgomotso. David Walizama, guys. So let's meet David halfway. Okay, you can hear LSFAS 65%. We've got you too. But remember, if you aim for 65, you might just drop to 60. So always aim for 90, that you have little room for, those eventualities that happen to all of us, and make sure that you do not miss out on these opportunities. David, thank you so much. In the meantime, as we move on to Standard Bank, to Kehilwe, I want to ask that you respond to some of the questions in the chat, and we'll see you also, we'll circle back in our Q&A segment. Here is our second poll that has just come up. We want to know, what do you find most challenging when completing funding applications? Guys, the forms can sometimes get tricky. Option A, is it the writing a compelling application? B, gathering the necessary documents? Or C, understanding the eligibility criteria? Which one is it? Sometimes they ask that you write that motivation letter of why you think you need the bursary. I think for me, that's often the most daunting part of the application. Let's hear what you have to say. So, Kehilwe, we said Kehilwe, it's instant money. Mrs. Instant Money, let's hear from you. The blue bank, the blue blood, the blue money people. Kehilwe, thank you once again for being part of our webinar. From your side, we want to know, what are the different funding opportunities that Standard Bank has to offer our students, and also how can they access that information?
Okay, thank you, Vodia, for this moment. Okay, with Standard Bank at the moment, we do have student loans. We have two different types of student loans. Let me just share the screen.
Great. While Kehilwe is sharing his screen, we want to encourage, thank you so much for the questions that have been coming in the chats. Our panelists will make sure that they'll do their best to answer the questions. Alternatively, you may wait for the Q&A segment, where we will give you, the student, an opportunity to raise your question live to our panelists. Kehilwe, when you are ready.
Okay, just tell me if you can see the screen.
We can see the screen.
All right, thank you for that.
You just want to put it on presentation mode.
Yes.
On my screen, it's just a bit
Can you see
small.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. All right. So with our student loan, we have different types of student loans. We have the student loan where it's self-assured, and the one that is with surety. So I will mention the one with the self-assured and the one with surety. The criteria is more or less the same. So firstly, our student loans, they cover for tuition, they cover for accommodation, they cover equipment and books. So the minimum income for the one for self-assured, when we talk about the self-assured student, is the ones that are currently employed and they're studying part-time. So, and the ones that are the one with surety, they will need the parents or someone in the family or someone who's prepared to be their surety to pay their interest while they're studying. So the minimum income for the one of self-assured is 5,000. You need to earn a minimum income of 5,000 to be self-assured student. And we only cover for your tuition and for your books and equipment. We don't cover for accommodation for self-assured for people who are employed, because we believe that it's people who study in part-time while they are working. And then the one for with surety, the minimum income is just 3,000. and we want someone who's permanently employed and someone who gets a salary in the bank account every month. So because we're going to need that bank statement to confirm that income that you're saying you're getting. And remember, for if the surety is banking with Standard Bank, you get the interest rate. We give him the prime rate. We don't add anything on top of that, because remember, the surety is the one who will be paying the interest while the student is studying. The student can take over that loan when he's completed with the studies and gets employment. That is when the student will take over that student loan. And then the one for without the one student loan without surety is the one where we don't need the surety. The student is the one who's liable fully for that student loan, but that one has a minimum and the maximum. So with the one with surety, the one with surety, it does not have a amount for tuition. The tuition amount can be a maximum of up to 500,000. It does not give you an amount, how much should be for your tuition. And the one without surety, we only cover up to 120,000. That 120,000 covers for books, equipment, and accommodation. Remember, the one without surety, it also covers only specific universities and only specific courses. We don't cover for every courses on that one without surety. And remember, the one without surety, we also need someone who really need that student loan. The household income should be below 600,000, and it only covers from third-year students. And also, one important part we need to mention is that we do cover historic fees. So the required documents for these student loans, all three of them, is we need you to be a registered student. We need you to register. We need your quotations if you're going to do for books and equipment. We're also going to need your academic record if you're an existing student. And the other part that I know students struggle with is the one for accommodation, because we're going to need the lease agreement if you're going to stay outside campus. But if you stay within the campus, your statement will show also the accommodation for the rest. So there is the requirements that we need. But the thing is, with the one without surety, if you haven't registered yet, we can assist you still. What we're going to need, we're going to need last year's proof of registration, your acceptance letter. If you're not a first year student, since it's only caters for third year and onwards, like honors, masters. So if you are admitted at the honors stage, then you can get that acceptance letter for your honors. But if you're doing your third year, you can ask the head of faculty to write your letter that you continue with your studies for third year. Then we can accept that. Then also your quotations. So we can assist you even though you haven't studied, you haven't registered. After then, if you get approved, then they will give you a pre-approval letter so that you can go and register. Once we get that registration, that proof of registration, then we will disperse the rest of the funds. The same way dealt on the one with surety. If the student haven't registered yet, we can assist. We do the application with all the documents of the surety and the student that are required. And then we can disburse the funds just for registration. The student can go and register, and then after we get the proof of registration, we will disburse the rest of the funds for whatever they applied for. And then the other thing is, remember, the student loan without surety, it's only specific universities, not for all the university. We have about 9 universities at the moment, and there is no expectation for any repayment while you're studying. Okay. Interest rate and fees are capitalized. Vodia, did you say something?
It was just out of excitement around the fact that students don't have to pay while they're studying.
No.
They can pay afterwards.
Yes, the only one that there's payment is the one with surety, but remember that surety only pays interest. It doesn't pay the capital. The student will take over that student loan when he complete with the studies and get employment.
Okay.
Yes. So these are the different types of student loans that we have at the moment. And then we also going to have the bursaries. Our bursary only opens in May and they close in September. So they must just be on the lookout. If you don't know where to, you can just come to our branch. We can assist you. Remember, we also have some learnerships. They're going to open. At the moment, we do have learnerships. They must just go to our website of Standard Bank to apply for those learnerships. And then we do have also learnership and internship for graduates. So student, if they are interested in all those things, they can just come to our branch and then I will share the website with them where they can apply for all these exciting things. Because remember, with Standard Bank, we don't only offer these loans for studying and what, even after they're studying, we also can assist you with employment.
I don't know between Kgomotso and David and Kehilwe, who's the contender here? Who's the first prize winner? Moreki Kimang and Lekemo. But I can tell you, Standard Bank is really doing a lot for the students. I just want to reiterate, as you heard from Kehilwe, that if you are struggling to register because you have historical debt, there are loans that cover you, that are able to cover you. You must ensure that you come with your proof of registration from the previous year. You also come with your account. And if you need any information, we will put Kehilwe's details also for you there. Kehilwe, I just want to ask, how can Standard Bank assist students who are currently waiting for NSFAS feedback? So we have quite a number of our students that are appealing for the NSFAS funding and they don't know, and registration is closing on the 7th of February. Is there a way the Standard Bank can provide assistance to these students?
Yes, we can definitely assist these students. Remember, if it's a third year, let me talk about the one without surety, because I know most of them, they do come here. They're about to finish this year, but they don't have funding for registration and all that. So maybe for the third year and onward student who their courses is on the list of UFS for the one that we cover without surety, they can apply. Like I mentioned, they just give us those documents that I mentioned. What happens is while they're still waiting, but the registration is closing on the 7th, they can come and apply with us. And then when they get approved, they can register and do everything. Remember, when the NSFAS approve them after maybe a month or after a week, whatever, remember NSFAS pays everything into their student account. Everything is paid in then. And then once it's paid, the student will just come to us, and then we will give them the proof to show that where does that money come from, so that NSFAS can just university can just credit back the money into our student loan. Then it will cover that.
Awesome. So that is, I hope you've heard that, that if you are waiting for NSFAS to get back to you, go apply. As soon as your NSFAS is approved, they will pay it back into the Standard Bank loan account that you have. So very important. Kehilwe, you spoke a bit about qualifying courses as well as, qualifying courses. Which are those courses? Do you have a list of them perhaps that you can talk us through?
All right. Okay. For the University of the Free State, because it differs from university to university, it's not the same on different universities. For UFS, it's Economic and Management Sciences. And then under that economic, we do BCom General for third year onwards. We do BCom with specialization in economics. We do the one for investment and banking. We do the one for BCom Law, BCom Accounting. Those who are doing also BAC, Chartered Accounting, and Bachelor of Accounting also. But remember, this is third year onwards. And then the other one that we cover is the Faculty of Health and Sciences. For those who do medicine, we cover from 5th year onwards. And then under that health sciences, we also cover for dietitians who doing BSc dietitian third year, who doing occupational therapy third year onwards, optometry, physiotherapy, nursing third year onwards. And then for natural and agricultural science, there's quite a lot there. On that link, I will share the link where they can click just to check what are the different faculty, because we also cover for natural and agricultural science. Those are the only ones. Humanities, psychology, we don't cover for now, and law. But other university, they do cover. They must just check with University of Cape Town. They must just check with other universities.
Great. So you've heard that information. You are also able to go look at the Standard Bank website for those details. What advice do you have for students who are considering a student loan but are concerned about repayment after graduation? So if I don't get a job after I graduate, and year one goes by, year two goes by, what happens? Is the expectation that I pay back within a certain period? How does that work?
Okay, with that one, remember, you just need to inform the bank. Just come to the bank to tell them that you completed with your studies, but you haven't got any employment. You just make the bank aware. Remember, we don't list. This is a student loan, and the student haven't got any employment. So we can't put you under to list you on credit bureau to say that you are a bad payer or you haven't paid us or whatever. As long you keep communication with the bank, you don't just keep quiet or just you go where you are, then we will be good with the bank.
Okay, so if the student has already applied, how can they track the loan application status?
Okay, on the system, the one without surety, remember you can only do it online. So once you do it online, you submit all the required documents. On the system, it will definitely tell you that after 3 working days, they will give you feedback. If you haven't got any feedback in 3 working days, just go to the nearest branch. Any Standard Bank branch, we do have people that we can call them to do a follow-up for us, because there's also an email address where you can send an email to follow up on that. But sometimes they do take longer, especially this time of the year. With the application, they don't even take 3 days. At least I always advise students to come at least after 5 working days. Then we will do the follow-up for them. So with that one, they can just come to the branch just to do a follow-up regarding the application.
Great stuff. So you have heard it. And I really want to encourage you, do get in contact with our Standard Bank colleagues. I know many of our students are panicking, particularly because the clock is ticking in terms of registration closing down. And this is across our campuses, Bloemfontein, South Campus, Postgraduate Campus. So please make sure that you make time to go into the branch. Alternatively, you can email our colleagues. We did put Kehilwe's details in the chat for you.
I just want to share something also, the part of the students who were not aware with our student loan. There's some students who get bursaries maybe on NSFAS only covers for accommodation or cover only tuition, and they will need only accommodation, or they will need only books and equipment. You can apply only for those. It does not mean you need also to apply for tuition. So if there's anything that you need, it does not mean you need to apply for all 4 things. For accommodation, tuition, you can apply for one of those things. So I think with our student loans, it really helped quite a lot of people. For the past year, I've seen it, students who were still waiting for NSFAS. They came to us when the NSFAS responded later, then they were able at least to just pay it back with that NSFAS to Standard Bank.
There you have it. Thank you so much, Kehilwe. Ladies and gents, we're almost at our Q&A segment, but before we get there, we have our poll, and then we're going to hear from our student voice. So tell us, how will you fund your studies in 2025? Option A, do you have a bursary or scholarship or student loan? Option C, a work-study program. Option D, you've got personal savings or your family is going to contribute, or crowdfunding. Remember, there's Phoenix where you can crowdfund and get everyone else to contribute and chip in to your funding, or you have no funding at all and you don't know what to do, please click your option and submit. Remember, you have to click in the poll. I see quite a number of the responses coming in the chat. If you're joining with your cell phone, I think there might be an issue with the poll. But if you're on a laptop or a computer, please make sure you click on the option applicable. Lizzie, where I see you can't vote, you can put your option in the chat for us. There we go. So let us hear from Jabulile. Jabulile, welcome. Let us see, where are you?
Hi, Miss Ivodia.
There you are. Jabulile, once again, huge welcome from our side. Very excited to hear your story. So you spoke to us that you are a master's student, but I see there are some people that were not yet in the webinar when you introduced yourself. Before we jump into the questions, just again, tell the students, our audience, what are you doing currently? And then we'll jump into the questions.
Okay, I am doing my second year of master's in zoology.
All right. And what else do you do outside of just being a student?
Okay, I work as a tutor for high school students, and then I also work as a lab and a research assistant here on campus.
So you are a bursary recipient, and tell us firstly what bursaries have you received and what motivated you to apply for these bursaries, and also how did you hear about it?
Okay, so the bursaries that I applied for my honors, I applied for the tuition fee bursary. At that time, I was struggling with finding any bursaries for my course specifically. So then I saw the email from the university at that time advertising that applications were open for the tuition fee bursary. The first thing that I thought of was, will I be able to cover for all the fees, accommodation and everything else? Then I remember my sister telling me that, you know what, Nan, just apply for it and then we'll see the other things after. So then I looked at the requirements, what was needed at that time, and the application process was very easy, honestly speaking. So it was very easy to apply for it because then I also asked other people about it. I asked my friend about it. I'm like, hey, did you know about this bursary? And then she was like, yeah, I used it actually. The application process is very easy. You can apply for it. And then that's how I ended up applying for it. And I received it for my honors. And then the other one that I applied for was for my master's, which was NRF. Yeah, it's a long story, but I ended up making it to the list of people that were successful for it. And then you and I heard from it from the postgraduate people, yes.
Awesome. So you guys here already 2 bursaries right there. Can you describe the application process for us? So what does the application entail and which parts did you find a bit challenging? And how did you deal with those specific challenging parts in the applications?
Okay, so for the tuition fee bursary, the application process, as I've said, it was very easy. All I had to do was to calculate my average from first year to third year. And then I just needed to have an average of 65% for all of those years. So that's all that I had to do, indicate which department I'm from, as well as the faculty. So it was very easy. They didn't ask for anything else because they already had the documents like your ID, the proof of address or proof of income. So there wasn't anything that would have stopped me for applying for it. And then for NRF, that one is a different story because NRF requires a lot. The first thing that you need is your proposal. That was the most important thing, the proposal. So for me, when the applications opened, my supervisor came to me and said, listen, the application processes are open for masters. Do you think you want to apply for it? Do you want to do your masters? So I had a lot of thinking to do. And one thing that was on my mind was, if I don't apply for masters, what am I going to do the following year? Am I going to look for a job or not? And I just chose applying for it because I was just like, I just need to have a second option. In case I do not get a job, I know that I have this bursary. So the application process, the most challenging thing was the documents that I had to get. The proposal was the most challenging thing because my supervisor had to help me with everything. I didn't just write it, just write one draft and submit it. I had a lot of drafts. I went back to him. I asked him for advice since he has used the bursary before and he knows the application process much better than me. So after that, if we didn't know anything, he would be like, listen, attend the workshops that they're having to assist you guys. So I attended the workshops that were available at that time, because I remember Miss Lindy had workshops for us to ask any questions if we struggled with anything. So I attended those workshops, and then after that went back to my supervisor and said, hey, listen, this is the feedback that I got. This is how we're supposed to move forward with this.
Guys, you heard it. Get help, do it in time, make sure that you attend those workshops. La bona le secure the grad, ne? Secure the grad is in your corner. So Jabulile, I think one thing I'm getting from your story is that listen, you shot your shot. Here at Secure the Grad, we like saying hashtag shoot your shot. You don't know what will fall down. So how has receiving the bursary impacted your ability to pursue your studies?
Okay, so I'm going to speak for the tuition fee bursary for this one, right? So with my honors, right, at that time I already knew that I didn't have NSFAS, and I was just like, yo, it's hectic now. Now was the plan. So then when I received the bursary, so at that time I had money to register provisionally. So I was able to register provisionally. And then when the bursary kicked in, it was able to cover for all the fees that were left behind, including the registration fee, the remaining amount for the registration fee. So I ended up having money left from the bursary. So it helped me with covering my fees, because I don't think if I didn't have that bursary, I probably wouldn't have came back. The first step to studying is getting registered as a student, because if you're not registered, then it's over. So that was the most important thing for me, getting registered and then finding accommodation and other things at a later stage. So it really helped me a lot with me starting the process of being a student.
I think, as you can hear, many students can relate to you. It's quite tricky when you don't know what the next move is going to be. So I'm very happy to hear that this was something that has helped you. I want to ask you, if you were sitting in this seat and you had to give advice to our audience, particularly our students, about one, how do you get to a point where you qualify academically for these bursaries? What would you say? And also, when they get the money, how can they manage these funds effectively? Baskashaya, I blew it.
Yo, you see, I always say, when you're doing your postgraduate, make sure your average is 65. Well, when you have 65, you qualify for most bursaries, even like external bursaries. This is not only for NRF, even external bursaries. I remember I attended one of the, I think we had visitors from outside. They were going to tell us about their companies. I think it was from the Center for Graduate Support as well. So I attended it. I ended up going to different stores, different companies. I was asking them questions like, do you guys have bursaries? What are the requirements? And all of them just kept on saying 65, we need 65, 65, 65 is very important at this point. Get your 65, and I think from there you will be fine. So with managing your funds, if you get your tuition fee, if let's say you get the tuition fee bursary, I always say, you know yourself best, you know what the future is, what the plan is. If you know that you're going to come back the following year and you have money left from your bursary, do not take that money. Don't use that money. You can use that money the following year to register again. You can top up the registration fee amount with the money that's already left. Because if you take it and then the following year you're starting again from square one, it doesn't work, shame. So just leave that money and then you can use it. And then should you have a bursary that's giving you money, like to you and not via the university, the first thing that you should do is to cover for accommodation and your tuition fees. Those are the very important. Those things are very important because if you do not cover for them, I don't know where you're gonna stay. And if you do not cover your fees, trust and believe the university will keep on sending you messages about outstanding fees, and you do not want to do that to yourself. So yes, those are my advice, Shame.
When you deserve a seat here at hashtag Secure the Grad. Jabulile, thank you so much. It's really been such a pleasure hearing from you. And we wish you all the best with your studies. And keep on working hard. We want to see you at the hashtag Secure the Grad graduation booth come our grad activation that is upcoming. So I want to we are already in our Q&A segment, part of the webinar, and we want to ask if you have questions. We already see quite a few. We have one question already from Moana Kehilwe. Please excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your name and surname. Okay, that hand has gone down. There we go. So we're going to enable your microphone and your microphone. So once it's been enabled, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
You are audible. Welcome. And what's your question?
My question is towards the Standard Bank section. They spoke about the loan, but I didn't hear anything about the interest rate, as in how does it work? How much is the interest rate?
Great. So you want to find out about interest rates of the Standard Bank loans. Thank you. We'll answer your question, Kagiso. You can unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, thank you for attending to me. I wanted to ask if you are currently in arrears with the university, and for that reason you can't access your ADS. Is there any particular department that can help you register for bursaries, and maybe they're the ones to hand in your ADS to the institution you're trying to get a bursary from?
Okay, so you want to know, so you want to apply for a bursary, but you can't get, so with your ADS, or do you want your academic record?
Your academic record, basically, yeah. Like
Okay.
that one, yeah.
All right. So we can also find out for you there. We're going to take the last question, get answers, and then we'll take a second round. Kagiso, we've done your question. Bonolo, Bonolo, you can unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
You are audible.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, you said the NRF applications for honors will open between July and November. So do they consider your second year results or the third year results? And how long do they take to respond to you in regards to your status for the application for the bursary? Thank you.
Thank you, Bonolo. So you want to find out for the honors bursary, NRF bursary, do they consider your second or third year modules, and how long do they take to respond? So let's start with Standard Bank. Kehilwe, can you talk to us about the interest? What's the current interest rate that you are charging on these loans? And then Kgomotso, can I ask that you maybe touch on what happens if a student is owing, has debt, how can they access the academic record or even the ADS? And then David, if you can touch on the honors bursary, which marks do they look at? Third year, second year, and what's the timeline? Let's start with Kehilwe.
Okay, Bodia. All right, regarding the interest rate, remember I mentioned that we have different student loans. So the one with surety and the one for self-assured, the interest rate is based on the dead person who's applying for the self-assured. And then the one for surety, we check the credibility of the surety, how is his conduct, and how is he handling his credit. That will determine the interest that we will give that surety. And also remember the student, we're also checking on them as much as they are student, because some of them, they end up opening the accounts, retail account especially. So if you're a student, stay away from there, because I just dealt with one student. It broke my heart. His parents are fine, but the application was declined due to his accounts that he just decided not to pay them anymore. So with the one with surety, it's if the surety is banking with Standard Bank, we give them the prime. So if the prime, like as we speak now, the prime is 11, so we will give the student loan will be 11. So if the surety is not banking with Standard Bank, it's prime plus based on the conduct of that customer. We can't say how much it will be. And then the one without surety, that one is the standard one, because all the student, that one, remember, it doesn't want the surety. The one without the surety, we give them the prime plus 3. Okay. So that is how it is.
I like the advice around those short-term retail accounts. Be careful about that. I know we talk about building your credit score, but your conduct is very important around how you manage your finances. We'll soon have a webinar where we talk about how to manage your finances. So thanks for that. Let us move over to Kgomotso. Any advice on how Kagiso can go about obtaining an academic record or even an academic data summary if he has outstanding fees?
For students with outstanding fees, they need to contact the Student Academic Services, or they can go on the website. I just shared a link for them. They can go on the website. There is like a form that they can complete there. It's called a transcript request form. Or they can also email. There's an email address there on the website where they can send an email to say transcripts@ufs.ac.za, or they can also give them a call. So what they do is that they email that academic record to whoever it is that is requesting it. You can share the details with them, and then they'll just send it to wherever it is required.
There you go. So, Kagiso, there's your answer. Thank you so much, Kgomotso. And then, David, let's hear from your side around the honors bursary. Which results do we look at?
Thank you, Bodia. Okay, so for the honors scholarship, we look at your third year. So you can
David, you are a bit faint in your sound. Do you mind just coming a bit closer to your microphone?
Okay, am I audible now?
That is perfect.
All right, sorry about that. So I was saying that for the honors scholarship, we look at your third year results. And then in terms of the timelines, it depends on how quick we can complete the screening process and how quick the NRF will respond to the submissions that we do. So for this year, I estimate that outcomes will be out by the end of February from our side. All right.
Thank you for even answering that last part, because I know we had quite a number of students asking in the chats, when will we hear feedback in terms of our honors application? So you heard it around end of February, because the institution needs to get feedback from NSFAS. So let's take our second round of questions. Karabo, you can go first. You can unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Okay, can you hear me?
You are audible.
Okay, I was going to ask about the honors bursaries of when we are going to get feedback. And I would like to ask the lady from Standard Bank about the bursary, the loan. If you do have a disability, which documents is required? Would you need to get that letter from SASSA stating that you are getting a disability grant, or would you need a medical certificate? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karabo. So which documents for disability, and that's for Standard Bank? All right. Anele, you can unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Oh, thanks. I just want to ask on behalf of someone. There's a lady who studied at UP, University of Pretoria, for the education degree. So she applied here at UFS to do her honors, and she got accepted, but she hasn't registered yet. And she applied for NRF bursary, but she's waiting for the response. So I would like to ask, to the Standard Bank representative, that can she get help, can she get help to register? Then when NFR Basali responds, then NFR Basali can communicate with Standard Bank. Is it possible for that?
We will direct that question to Standard Bank, to Kehilwe. We want to know, similar to the arrangement you have with NSFAS, does that apply to NRF? If the student is still waiting for the response, will they be able to cover that? Those are two questions for Standard Bank. We're going to take two more questions and then answer. So let's see who's next. Sephora, you can ask your question by unmuting your microphone.
Good afternoon, Kerry.
We can hear you, Sephora. Good afternoon. What's your question?
Thank you. I wanted to ask if there are any bursaries that are available for international. That's my question.
So, Sephora, you're asking for international students. Is it undergraduate or postgraduate?
Undergraduate for Bachelor of Marketing.
Okay, we'll ask Kgomotso. Will you take that question in terms of some of the bursaries that financial aid has available? Okay, awesome. So let us, Lizwe, you have the last seat in terms of the second round of questions. You can ask your question and then we wrap up the second round of questions. Lizwe, remember to unmute your mic. Okay, so let's go to Bonake. Please unmute your microphone and you can ask your question. Bonakele, sorry, that's Bonakele. Apologies, Bonakele.
Hello, can you hear me? Am I audible?
You are audible. What's your question?
Okay, I wanted to ask Mr. David about the honors scholarship. I heard him saying that they calculate the marks, or they look at the marks for the third year. So I wanted to ask, what happens if you did your third year modules in 2 different years? Then how do we go about it like that? And also, does the other bursaries like MRCTA and the Department of Labor bursary also fund education students for undergrad and postgrad?
Okay. So we are breaking up your question into 2. David, you'll take the honors bursary. Does it cover, or does it look, if you've done your third year across 2 years, does it consider all of those 2 years? And then Kgomotso, can you speak to us about the MRCTA and the Department of Labor bursaries, if they fund undergraduate students in the Faculty of Education? Okay, let's start with Standard Bank. Kehilwe, your 2 questions. Which documents do students have to submit if they have a disability? And then from Anele, do you have a similar arrangement with NRF with the loans?
Okay, for the disability, we don't have a certain criteria. We take them like a normal people also. It's just that on the application, they will maybe ask, are you disabled or what? But we don't need any specific document for that one. Any student who qualifies, we assist.
Awesome. So you've got that question. And then the NRF, do you have a similar arrangement with NRF as NSFAS?
with that one, it's not really an arrangement, it's with the university, remember. NRF also pays at the university, and then the university will provide them with the documents that are required, and they will credit the student loan account. The same way it works with NRF.
Anele, you are just in luck. You got your answer. Let's hear from international students. Kgomotso, do we have with our sundry bursaries? Do you cover, are there some that cover undergraduate students like marketing? Kgomotso?
Hello, Ivodia. For international students, we really do not have a lot of bursaries here. I think I would refer the students to the international office, because mainly it's for South African students.
Okay, there you have it. I also want to encourage, Sephora, if you are in your first year of study and you want to go into your second year of study, Alan Gray Orbis Foundation, agov.co.za, I think. But look for Alan Gray Orbis Foundation. They cover bursaries from second year onwards, and they also cover students in the SADC region, and they do not discriminate in terms of which field of study. The only ones they do not cover are the medicine students that are studying towards a MBCHB. Those are the only students they don't cover. So please look out for that. Also want to encourage our students, your LinkedIn is very important. On LinkedIn, there are literally a flood of bursaries, but also essay bursaries. Please look out for that. Also know Study Trust. Study Trust, if you go onto Study Trust website, you create a profile and you can ask for bursary. You can look at the bursaries that will be opening up for the 2026 academic year. All right, one last question. Kgomotso, Bonakela also wanted to find out in terms of scholarships from Mercieta and the Department of Labor bursaries. Do they cover education students?
Okay, sorry, Kgomotso, you can go ahead.
Okay, I can speak to the Department of Labor. For them, they are not really specific on what you are studying, so they are open for any courses. And then I think, David, you will cover the Mercita one.
Thank you, Kgomotso. David?
Okay, yes, sorry about that. No, I just wanted to say that Mercita only funds disciplines in the natural sciences as well as the economics management sciences fields.
Okay, so there you have it. Just in terms of their timelines, David, when do students generally receive feedback regarding this funding?
Okay, on Mercita as well, they can expect the outcomes towards the end of February, because we are almost complete with the screening process and selection process for the Mercita bursaries.
Awesome. So you've heard that. I saw a couple of questions as well in the chat around when Mercieta application outcomes will be out, as you've heard it towards the end of February. So please remember to look out in your student email for those responses. So let me see who we can take last five. Can we take last five to our technical team? Let's see how quick those questions are. Lunga, you can, as soon as your microphone is active or enabled, you can ask your question, and then Andiswa after Lunga.
Hello.
Hi, Lunga, you can ask your question.
Okay, so I think my question is directed towards Kgomotso. I applied for the monitoring committee bursary, and when can we expect the outcome of our application? Because registrations are about to close.
Okay, so monitoring bursary. All right. That's Lunga. All right, next, Andiswa. Andiswa, remember to unmute your mic.
Good afternoon. Just hope you are doing well. My question is directed to Mr. David. So I want to ask that is it possible for me to mend the mistake that I made during my application? So on my application I put like UJ instead of UFS. So now I want to know if it is possible for me to make the changes.
All right. Thank you so much, Andiswa. David, you heard that. That is for you. Changes. Can a student amend their application? And then let's take Yolanda Roberts. We're going to quickly enable your microphone and you can ask your question. Yolanda, your microphone has been enabled. You can unmute and ask your question.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon, Yolanda. What's your question?
My question, I think, is directed to Ms. Kgomotso regarding the UFS alumni fund thingy that I asked on earlier on, and she said that you have to have she answered, but now my question again is, as a first-time entering master student, do you qualify to apply for that bursary or what?
Okay, so Kgomotso, you've heard that. First-time entering master students, do they qualify for the Alumni Trust bursary? That's your question. So Kgomotso, you've got two questions, outcomes around monitoring bursary, as well as the Alumni Trust Masters bursary, and then David, the mistake on the application. Let's see who else can we take. Liziwe, yes, we had you in the previous round. You can ask your question. Please remember to unmute your microphone.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, thank you. What's your question?
Good. I wanted to ask in regards to the labor bursary. What are the requirements for the bursary? And I also wanted to ask about the Standard Bank bursary as well. If you have a father that bought milk and never came back, how do you go about verifying the proof of
income?
Income, yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. Let us wrap up this round of questions. Let's start. Kgomotso, let's start with you. The labor bursary requirements, and then alumni trust for Yolanda, as well as the monitoring bursary for Lunga.
Hi, Ivodia. I think I would refer the students to the website for more requirements on the labor bursary, because there the information is not really clear. They're not even indicating the pass rate that they are looking for, the criteria that they are using.
Okay.
So the student must just have a look at the website.
Great stuff. And the alumni trust?
Okay, yeah, for alumni trust, the student, like I indicated, that they have to be registered for 120 plus credits. So if you are a master student, you can register. But the condition is that you can only apply twice. You can only receive that alumni trust bursary only 2 times. You cannot receive it more than that.
Great.
And then the pass rate as well for the previous modules or previous year's results, you must have passed everything.
Thank you so much for that, Kgomotso. And then David, and then monitoring bursary, Kgomotso, sorry, for Lunga, monitoring bursary, when can students expect outcomes?
We've started communicating with some of our students regarding the monitoring bursary. Yeah, so for outstanding ones, we'll communicate with them before Friday. We understand it's the closing date of registration, so they need to know what's happening. So they'll receive communication before Friday.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Kgomotso. David, 2 questions for you. The mistake in the application, and Bonakele did ask if they are for third year, do you look, if they did their third year in 2 years, across 2 years, will you consider both years or how will it work? That is for the UFS bursary.
Okay, so I will start with Bonakele's question. So it's regardless of when you did your final year modules, we do look at the codes of the modules. So we are able to identify your final year modules and calculate the average on those. Okay, and then in terms of the amendments, you will not be able to amend the application at this stage because we already done with the screening process. So you will have to wait for the outcome. And then if the application is successful, you can then request a change of beneficiary where the scholarship will then be transferred to a different institution. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to get from my technical team, are we able to take 3 more questions? Will time allow? Or should we wrap up the... Okay, just got a thumbs up. All right, so please help me by just lowering hands of people that have already had an opportunity to ask. I think we were Livwani. Livwani, we're going to enable your, there you go. Livwani, you can ask your question.
I'd like to ask about bursaries or funding opportunities open for 2025 academic year for education students, because it's quite an extreme sport finding one. I think I've been trying, but with no luck. So I hopefully this platform will enlighten me somehow. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Livwani, I also want to encourage you, please, go look, speak to our financial aid colleagues. Alternatively, also remember that look on the chats. We've put up some websites to some bursary information. And for all of you, go follow us on social media. We will be posting quite a lot of links to external bursaries. So please go look out there. Alternatively, look at your UFS emails for those details. Or you can also follow COFSI X or COFSI Pulse. All right, let's go to Ndibwo.
Oh, am I audible?
Yes, you are. What's your question?
Oh, I wanted to ask if for the one of the Standard Bank, I wanted to ask if someone wants to now apply for the loan without sure ET and they have not yet registered and they are not yet at Bloom, is it that they should apply for it online, or is it a must that they come to the UFS Standard Bank branch to go about it?
So remember, I just want to highlight what Kehilwe said. You can apply online, and if you've not gotten a response, you can go to any Standard Bank branch countrywide. They would be able to assist you.
Oh, okay. No, thank you then.
You're welcome. There's a question, Kehilwe, that we didn't get to answer. It was in the previous round from Yolanda. She did ask, in the event that one of the parents, it's just quickly, there we go. In the event that one of the parents is missing in action, so we don't know where the father is, what documents should we submit in terms of proof of income in order to state that they do not know the whereabouts of the father? How can we help Yolanda there? Kehilwe?
Hi, Vodia. Okay.
Yes.
It's in connection to what? The one for providing the household income?
Yes.
Or when they need the surety?
If they want to provide household income.
Okay, remember the household income, we're just looking for that house where you're staying at home, not when you're a student, at home. Remember, you're still dependable to your parents.
Yeah.
So at home, if it's you, your mom, your uncle, whoever is working, you can provide that as proof of income. If it's a SASA or it's a domestic worker, you can just do an affidavit to state how you guys are surviving at home. So we don't need to know about the whereabouts of the father, as long we can get the proof of household income.
Okay.
Whoever is working at home.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kehilwe. Kgomotso, you can unmute your microphone.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Kgomotso. What's your question?
I'd like to ask Ms. Kgomotso about ETDP SETA, especially about when is it opening and how one can go about applying to an institution.
Which SETA?
ETDP.
ETDP SETA. All right. So we've got that. Nelisa, let's hear from you. Nelisa?
Hi.
Yes, please go ahead and ask your question. Remember to unmute your microphone. Nelisa, we're going to miss you. Simpiwe, you up next. Unmute your microphone and ask your question. Remember, we're running out of time. We need to wrap up. So get your question ready. Simpiwe?
Hi.
Yes, you are audible. What's your question?
So my question is regarding NRF. So I was asking, since Mr. David said that they will respond by the end of February, but the registration closes, I think, Friday. So how are we supposed to go about the registration? And another question is that how do we let, as we are trying to apply provisional, how are we going to let them know that we are still waiting for the response from the bursary?
All right, there you go. David, that's a question for you. But also, while David is getting that question, remember, Standard Bank did indicate that you can apply for a loan. As soon as you have your outcomes, the university will pay back the portion of the loan into your account, your loan account with Standard Bank. But let's go to Kgomotso. Kgomotso, with the ETDP SETA, when do those applications open and how can students apply? Kgomotso?
Hi, Evodia. For ETDP SETA bursaries, I would advise the students to come to our offices and meet with our external bursary team, because for that one, the dates are not publicized on our website.
Great. Thank you, Kgomotso. And then Simpiwe wanted to ask David around NRF. If the student is, given the fact that registration is closing on the 7th, is there an arrangement with the institution, or what can the student do while they're awaiting responses?
Okay, thank you, Vodia. So we always advise students to prepare for their registration, mainly because most bursaries do take time to respond in the following year. So it's really, we don't really have a arrangement with the university to have students register, because you need your outcome. We need to be sure that you will be funded. So unfortunately, you have to wait for the outcome of your applications.
All right. So before we let you go, David, there's a Nelly Sega is asking, what happens when you get a full bursary offer after you've already accepted the UFS honors bursary? Can you change it?
Okay, for example, if you later received the NRF and you had accepted the UFS bursary, you just need to inform us so that we can reverse the UFS bursary. Then you can then continue with your NRF scholarship.
Okay, there you have it. So many of the questions I see in our Q&A segment have already been answered. Remember, as Kehilwe highlighted, you do not need to be banking with Standard Bank. But if you are banking with Standard Bank, you only get to pay prime, which is 11%. If you're not a Standard Bank account holder, you will pay prime plus 3%. So I'm not going to say anything, but do the right choice, make the right choice, do the right thing. Also remember what Financial Aid Office highlighted, that they are working and processing those applications as they come, and you will get your feedback as soon as possible. For those of you that are stressed that registration is closing and you do need to cover your registration and you don't have feedback yet, remember that Standard Bank does have arrangement with the university around crediting the account once you have been successfully approved. I really want to thank you. This has been one of the most awesomest webinars beginning of the year. If you've missed out on some of the information and you want to replay, remember that we have been recording our webinars, so you can follow us on YouTube. Just go look for Secure the Grad. The webinar should be out in a couple of days. The recording should be out in a couple of days. Alternatively, and also we want to hear from you. Was this webinar a hit or a miss? Is there additional information that you'd like us to host? What else would you like us to talk about? Please remember to do that by completing our feedback form. We're also going to send you the link to the feedback form in your emails. Please remember to complete it. You can also stand a chance to win additional prizes outside of the webinar if you complete that feedback form. Also follow us on the gram. We are at Secure the Grad on Instagram. We also want to announce our winners, so don't go away as yet. Let's see who our winners are. Congratulations to Tsepiso, Kgomotso, Kamohelo, Palandwa, and Duduzi Zwane. You are our successful winners for today. Remember to send us an email on securethegrad@ufs.ac.za. Tell us you are the winner, as well as send us your student number as well as your contact details so that we can get your prize to you. Congratulations to all these participants. And remember, if you also like to be like them, do look out for our email where we will be sending our feedback form to hear how this webinar went and what we could do to improve, or what other topics you'd like us to discuss, or who should we bring onto our platform. We also want to announce that we have exciting news. Our academic support webinar is coming up. We've added an additional slot. So this time, 20 February, 1 to 3, this slot is going to stay. We'll be bringing A-Step, the tutorial program, if you want to know how to take advantage of tutorials or how to be a tutor. We also invited the Writing Center. We've invited the library. We've invited, for you postgraduate students, we'll also invited the right site or the right space to help you around your academic support needs. We're also going to be bringing SRC. We're going to be bringing associations. We're going to be bringing so many people, Center for Universal Access and Disability Support. Career services will be coming. Those of you looking for jobs, please make sure that you keep your eye on our Instagrams, YouTube, as well as the UFS emails. Let us see. So remember, if you need any support, university has tons and tons and tons of support avenues there for you. Just waiting for my slide to come up so that I can show you what support services we have. So if you want to speak to any of our advisors, remember you can email advisingsc@ufs.ac.za. That's for South Campus, advisingqq@ufs.ac.za. That's for Kwakwa. But if you're on the Bloemfontein campus and you need to speak to an academic advisor, you can get us on advising@ufs.ac.za. Alternatively, get us on WhatsApp, 087-240-6370. That's our number on WhatsApp. You can also follow them at UFS. Or if you want to hear anything about A-Step @ufs.ac.za. Remember, our success coaches are waiting to hear from you, as well as if you've not registered for an academic literacy module, make sure that you register. Remember, if you don't register for that module, you will not graduate at the end of your degree. And that is it from our side. To our speakers, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for the valuable information that you've shared. To our audience members, you guys have been awesome. And thank you. We will see you on 20 February.